Karamihan po kasi sa ating mga kababayan, gusto niyang kumain. Maaari siyang may makain pero wala siyang choice. Kamuting kahoy lang ang nandyan. O kaya saging na saba. Sa kanila yung pinaka-nutritious food na gusto niyang kainin sa oras na gusto niyang kainin, na-access po nila. Yun po yung food security. Malayo pa po tayo doon. Pero sana po, panalangin natin, unti-unti makarating din po tayo doon. Salamat po, Mr. Chair. Ay sa mga problema ang inilahad po ninyo, talagang ang kagutuman naman ay isang bagay na hindi dapat naman na hindi kagyat nabigyan ng madali ang tugon sapagkat kaya po tayo nabubuhay ay para kumain. Hindi po tayo kumakain para mabuhay. Kahit bali-baligtarin mo, ganun din po ang kahulugan nun. Ang pagkain po talaga ay importante. Kaya lang, hindi po lahat ng mga kababayan natin ay may kasapatan nito. Ang totoo niyan ay malayo pa tayo sa tinatawag na food security. Sa akin pong palagay, doon pa lamang sa food sufficiency ay medyo nangangapa na tayo roon. Ang food sufficiency po kasi sa aking pagkakaalam, ito yung relasyon ng ating naipoproduce sa ating kakailanganing pagkain. Kapag ang production mas mataas po sa demand, ang aking pong palagay ay meron po tayong food sufficiency. Ngunit mas mataas na bahagi po yung tinatawag na food security. Ibig sabihin nun, katulad po ng bansang Singapore, ang mga mamamayan po ng Singapore, kahit anong araw, kahit anong oras, yung gusto niyang pagkain, ma-access niya. Karamihan po kasi sa ating mga kababayan, gusto niyang kumain. Maaari siyang may makain pero wala siyang choice. Kamuting kahoy lang ang nandyan. O kaya saging na saba. Sa kanila yung pinaka-nutritious food na gusto niyang kainin sa oras na gusto niyang kainin, na-access po nila. Yun po yung food security. Malayo pa po tayo doon. Pero sana po, panalangin natin, unti-unti makarating din po tayo doon. Salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat, Senator Marcoleta. With Senator Marcoleta joining us this morning, we now have a quorum. We can now proceed with the hearing. The chair declares a presence of a quorum, and we call this meeting into order. And we will now, if the vice chairperson would be willing, we said earlier that we will adopt the rules of the Senate and the Senate Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation as the rules as well of this committee.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the rules of this committee.
There is a motion. I second it as chairperson, and therefore we hereby adopt the rules of the Senate and the Senate Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation as the rules as well of this committee, the Committee on Agriculture, Food, and Agrarian Reform. We can now proceed. The flow will be that we will have the DA make the presentation, after which we can hear the inputs and the presentation of our resource persons from the private sector, and then we can proceed with the questions after the presentations. We appeal to our resource persons to keep it straight to the point and as brief as possible, given the constraints of time. Again, welcome, Senator Kiko Laurel. You have the floor.
Naging senador yata ako. Anyway,
Secretary Kiko Laurel. Na-promote na ho kayo. Kung maganda ang trabaho niyo the next 3 years, malay ba natin? Diba? Salamat po.
yeah, I'd like to make an opening statement, Mr. Senators. To the honorable members of the Senate and to the Committee on Agriculture chaired by Senator Francis Pangilinan, may katukayo, a steadfast partner in our shared vision of a modern and resilient Philippine agriculture. We stand before you today united by a singular mission to fulfill the long-promised dream of a food-secure nation and to bring prosperity to those who till our lands and fish our seas. In recent years, we have taken bold steps to undo the legacy of neglect, that has stunted our agricultural sector for decades. Reforms have been made, enacted, investments have begun to flow, and productivity is rising. Yet the road ahead remains long and steep. Parang nabanggit ho ni Senator Marcoleta nga kanina, hindi pa tayo food secure. Hindi pa tayo, di ba, kulang pa. Our ambitions demand nothing less than sustained efforts and greater commitment from government and all stakeholders. Consider irrigation or irrigation natin, the lifeblood of farming. To supply water to over 1 million hectares of irrigable land, we need more than 1 trillion pesos. Without it, we remain dependent on imports, enriching foreign farmers while our own continue to struggle. So tubig ho ang pinaka-importante, irigasyon. Logistics and infrastructure demand billions more, not merely to ease the burden of our aging farmers, but to inspire the next generation to see agriculture not as a burden, but as a bold, viable, and even cool endeavor. We are deeply grateful for the increase in our proposed 2026 budget, but let me be frank, the scale of what we need dwarfs what we have. If we are to leapfrog into a future of self-sufficiency and agro-industrial strength, our investments must match our ambition. It is not only resource we lack, but also the legal tools to truly transform the sector. We must revisit, amend, and where necessary, replace the laws that no longer serve our farmers and consumers. Foremost among these is the rice tariffication law. Though crafted with noble goals, I have to admit, it has faltered. By fully liberalizing rice imports, it unintentionally undermined the Department of Agriculture and the NFA, stripping us of the ability to intervene and protect this most vital of commodities.
Thank you, Chair. Pasensya na po kung magre-request ako sa inyo na palitan natin yung paghahalimbawa ninyo. Kasi yung halimbawa po nyo, madyong. Kalat-kalat ang pyesa, hindi nakakamada. Kasi po sa akin, bawal ang sugal.
Sorry.
Ganito po yun. Alin po yung kalat-kalat? Ako po, hindi na po paghahalimbawa. Sasabihin ko na sa inyo ang totoo. Napakarami nating magagandang batas. Katulad po, ito sa sinasabi nyo ngayon. Meron po tayong batas. Matagal na po ito. Hindi ko lang po sa ulado yung Republic Act. Pero meron po, check po ng Agriculture Department. Meron tayong batas para bigyan ng guaranteed price ang palay. Anong problema? Hindi po kalat-kalat, hindi lang sinusunod. Hindi na i-implement. Pagkatapos po yung tungkol sa financing, yung po sinasabi niyo mga guarantee. Meron din po tayong batas. Republic Act 10,000. Ano po sinasabi doon? Lahat po ng bangko, mapapubliko, mapaprivate, 25% ng loanable fund ng bangko ipahiram sa mga small farmers and beneficiaries of agrarian reform. 25% of their portfolio. Hindi natutupad. Checkin po ninyo. Nireview ko po yan, only 4% sa 25%. Gumagawa ng paraan ng mga bangko para ma-circumvent yun. Kasi nakikita niya yung mga farmers na dala-dala ni Secretary Kiko. Yung iba nakatsinelas, yung iba nakatapak lang. Sasabihin ng manager, Chairman, paano ko kanya pahiramin ito? Baka hindi makakabayad itong mga ito. Palaging ganun ang tingin nila sa farmer. Hindi po kalat-kalat eh. Ang mga batas po na nagawa na ng Kongreso, marami po yan. Ang problema po, hindi po nila sinusunod. Kaya ang kailangan po talaga rito yung oversight function. Tama po yung direksyon natin. Sa susunod po siguro natin pagdinig, dadaling ko yung mga sinasabi ko sa inyong mangilan-ngilan ngunit importanteng mga batas tungkol sa agriculture. Ngunit hindi natutupad. Salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Hihit lang ako, Mr. Chair. Palibasa
Yes.
yung agri-agri loans ang pinag-uusapan. Na-amenda yan nung nakaraang sesyon pagkat sa dalawa ang nakita natin. Unang-una na yung mga bangko would rather pay for the penalty than lend to farmers who were most unlikely to pay. So it wasn't working as an agri-agri window. So kinansela na natin yung paghati. Tapos ikalawa, maraming agriculture na mag-uutang, wala naman agrarian reform beneficiaries na mangungutang. So yung split nung dalawa, tinanggal na. So tinitingnan natin, palibasa bago pa lamang ang batas, kung talagang nagfa-function siya at kung kinakailangan pa ng panibagong amendment. Kasi palipat-lipat yung pondong yan, tinatago-tago, hindi ko maintindihan eh. Pero tignan natin kung mag-work ngayon.
Thank you
Yes,
po, Mr. Chairman. If I may.
Before, I'm sorry, we were just alerted by the committee secretary, so we will have to make the presentation of the Department of Agriculture through USEC ASIS, no? But before that, just we would like to place also on record, we would like to correct some of the figures we raised earlier. In terms of the price increases, Kasim over 40%, beef over 40%, sugar over 55%, bawang over 50%, kamatis over 80%, and the rest of the corrections we will submit to the committee on committee secretary so that the necessary corrections are made. But the point being, talagang sobra-sobra ang pagtaas ng presyo ng ating pagkain. We now proceed with the presentation of the Department of Agriculture through USEC Asis Perez. You have the floor, USEC Perez.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and the members of this committee for allowing us to make this presentation. What I'll do today is just to provide a snapshot of Philippine agriculture. Over the past 2 decades, the development of the country's agri-fisheries sector has been slow and erratic, lagging behind the industry services sector with the contribution to our GDP continuously declining. This doesn't mean, though, that we are not growing. It's just that the other sectors are growing much faster, Mr. Chair. Hindi naka-ano. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right. Parang hindi naka-queue. Hindi siya naka-queue. Okay. But just the same, Mr. Chair, it's growing but not as fast, and the growth is often slow and, of course, very, very erratic. There are years when it's growing, but there are more years that it's not growing. And there are, in fact, years when we are declining. So this represents the different average annual growth of the sector. And as you can see, Mr. Chair, the crop sector represents 55% of the share of our agriculture. Livestock is around 11%. Poultry is 8%. And of course, fisheries is 12.5%. And of course, the support activities represents around 11% of the entire.
What would support activities be? Just a few.
That would be the pre-production activities, Mr. Chair. For instance, the mechanization, the fertilizers and things like that. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Next slide, please. Let's look at the numbers, what we believe are the crucial numbers here. While agriculture is not growing, it still supports 11.2 million Filipinos who are employed in this subsector. If you consider the industries related to agriculture, because we are counted at the production level. After production, the auxiliary industries like processing industries for tuna are not even counted into that. So it's even more. So we're looking at 11.2 million Filipinos employed by the sector. Despite this, poverty remains the highest in the sector. Admittedly, there was a big leap from 2006 when poverty in the sector is at 38. It's 10% in the case of agriculture. In the case of fisherfolk, it's from 41 to 27. So may improvement po, pero palagay ko maliit po yung improvement because if you compare with other countries, now the poverty incidence in their sector is around 4 or 5. Next slide, please.
B.
For instance, sir, in the case of Vietnam, if you look at Vietnam, for instance, in ASEAN, many of the countries many of the farmers in this country has
Single digit. Single digit.
are now in the single digit.
Okay, thank you.
Unlike the Philippines. So, what are the challenges in the sector? Of course, low productivity, and this was explained earlier by our secretary because productivity is based on the availability of water and technology, and of course, inputs. The delayed in infrastructure development for forward linkages. Just to explain this further, Mr. Chair, we calculated the total investment requirement for agriculture to work properly is 3.5 trillion peso. This is the backlog that we are trying to cover. 3.5 trillion pesos. And of course, admittedly, the growing impact of climate-related disasters. We are number one today in terms of disaster, both, of course, because of the storms and also other disasters, even man-made disasters. Next slide, please. Ang ating pong departamento ay may pangarap, and this vision was established when Secretary Laurel took over. We want to achieve food security, as the good Senator mentioned. We're not even food sufficient. Food security is much higher than food sufficiency. But to reach that, we would like to get into food security through boosting our own agricultural productivity. Because there are two ways. In the case of Singapore, for instance, they are totally dependent on importation, but they are food secure. But what we want to do is to be food secure, primarily depending on our ability to produce our own food. So it's food sufficiency that will result into security. And to do this, we have to make sure that the sector is profitable. Production is based upon the reasonable certainty of the producer to make something out of their toil and investment. If farmers will not make there's no reasonable expectation for gain, why will the farmers produce? To be able to do this, we identified 5 primary strategies. One is to expand and improve available agri-fisheries areas for increased production. We still have areas that are not producing. We still have areas where production can be enhanced. If you can only irrigate the 1 million hectares of irrigable land, that is an additional 5 million tons of palay annually. And that is almost equivalent to our total importation. We need to mechanize and modernize the agri-fishery production system to make it more efficient and lower the cost of productivity. If we can mechanize, then we can harvest more. And if we harvest more, definitely the production cost will be less on a per unit volume, and we can sell definitely the product at a much lower cost or rate. We need to develop the post-harvest system. We're losing between 12 to 35% of whatever we produce by volume, depending on the commodity because of our poor post-harvest systems.
What would the 35% commodity be?
It will go to vegetables, Mr. Chair. In fact, if I go even farther on the price, example po yung isda, kapag binenta mo ang isda sa umaga, pwede mong ibenta ng 300 pesos ang kilo niyan. Pag sariwa, paghapon po, 100 na lang yan. And so, it's not even the volume, but also the value. With the very poor post-harvest development, yung pong ating mais, halimbawa, is 3 pesos much lower ang value because of the aflatoxin content. So, but by simply working on the post-harvest, the value of our corn products will tremendously increase. We need to develop efficient logistic systems, not just for what we produce, but also for inputs. That is the reason why, Mr. Chair, we are embarking on, agricultural ports kasi dapat po pagdadating yung fertilizer bulk na yun. And also, para mas mura po yung ating cost. And of course, as we mentioned, kung wala pong kita, hindi po magtatanim. So kailangan natin i-improve at expand pa yung ating local and international market. And I guess one way of expanding our local market is sagip-saka. And I think we're on the right track on that side, Mr. Chair.
Tama ba yung datos, yung wages ng or income ng ating farmers, ang range depending on the area is anywhere between income, farm income, 7,000 pesos to 11,000 pesos. Tama ba yun?
Is that per month, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Ganon, di ba?
Roughly.
Roughly, di ba? 7 to 11 per month.
Yes, sir.
But the PSA says for you to be able to afford the most basic of needs, you need to be earning around 13,000 a month. So in other words, kung farm income lang, talagang kapos ang farmer.
Yes, sir. That's the.
Okay, please proceed.
And then we have 5 cross-cutting teams.
The reason why I say that, sorry, is because then you should start benchmarking. Kung 7 to 11, ano ang interventions at ano yung outcome in terms of income? Because you mentioned, di ba, na kinakailangan kumikita. So ano yung benchmark doon? Because other countries do that. Vietnam strategically said anywhere between $500 per capita to 1,500 per capita in a period of 10 years, 15 years. China, they're very clear in the 70s, 160 yuan ang kinikita ng farmer. About 10 years ago, it was about 7,000 yuan. The DA will have to have something like that because I was discussing this with Senator Marcos and she agrees. The DA has been historically consistent and consistently, the mindset is output. Production, yields. Anong saysay nung yield kung baon naman sa utang yung nag-yield ng ganung yield, di ba? Anyway, go ahead, please.
Definitely, yes. Mr. Chair.
Yes, Secretary.
Mr. Chair, ang diskarte ngayon ng DA medyo iba na eh. I actually got cost accountants now to work under the DA. So ang aming profit and loss ngayon is per crop. Kasi hindi yung averaging everybody is
granular.
Oo, medyo well tama naman yun that we have to get the average but yeah, let's say I can give you a perfect example. Somebody proposed a farming group, malunggay daw, planting malunggay, ito yung investment, ito yung kailangan nila. But when I computed everything, akita nila nga 7,000 per month eh. Sabi ko, wag na kayo magmalunggay. Ito na lang, magbangga na lang kayo na pwede naman kayo mag 12,000 a month.
Di ko alam kung anong computation yun. Mas malakas ang kita ng export ng malunggay kapag organic at pang-export. Japan, Germany. Endless ang export, both powder and oil. Sabi kong kilala nagmimilyonaryo dyan.
I can justify that.
Parang I don't understand where your 7,000.
Sa farmer level ang aking approach. Of course, may kumikita. At the end of the day, if they don't plant, because malikit ang kita nila, then wala din tayong ma-export na gamot or I agree naman yung mga sa sobrang high value and yung mga processed malunggay products no for lalo na sa cosmetics and health. But sa farmer level masyado mababa yung ano. So the trick there now sinabi namin is we have to link you talaga to the processor but kung farm mo lang yan tapos sa trader ka asa, ito lang kikitain mo. Parang ganun, Mr. Chair.
I think it begins earlier. You also have to start with clean stock. Because kinakalat lang kung ano-ano lang mga butil at mga sanga na pwede. Tusok lang ng tusok. Eh kapag ganun talagang hindi.
Yes, Mr. Chair. And with that, hopefully by the end of this year, we will have parang profit. Parang it has to, yes. If we, Mr. Chair, if we do something now, it has to be a package nga, pati yung processing.
And value adding. I mean,
yes,
that should be part of the Kaya nga well, anyway, please, please proceed.
Mr. Chair, can I add something?
Yes, go ahead. From
I guess
Sina.
the point is that we shouldn't obsess about the yields and tons per acre, metric tons, but rather more importantly, what really ends up in the farmer's pocket.
Yeah.
And the goal should really be to double farmers' income rather than carry on about yields.
Otherwise, your next generation of Filipinos who, will not want to go into farming. Kasi,
Yeah.
bottom line, sabi nila, how do you make farming sexy? Sabi,
Yes.
kailangan kumita. Sabi nga, kung ang Vietnam, ganun ang trajectory, communist country, pero income, profit. Di ba? Of course, iba na mundo ngayon. Ano? So,
Yes, Mr. Chair. That is the reason why if you look at the goals of the department, it's not just production, but increasing income. We have to make the system profitable for everybody on the value chain. And when we look at farming, it's not the farmers, it's a value chain. Because the chain is only as good as its weakest link, and therefore we are looking at it from a value chain perspective, coming from the pre-production until the product is reach the consumer.
yes, very quickly, from Sina, go ahead. And then
Very
and then we
quickly.
will go back to your presentation. How many more slides do you have?
Just I can actually
I just want to know, you need another
I can actually go one more.
4 more. Okay. Okay. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
Very quickly, Chairman. Bali, sabi ng DA, 7,000 per month. Di ba? Yun ang computation.
For malunggay.
Yeah. Pero sa other crop din, dapat more or less ganun din 7,000. So para at least makaka-income ang rice farmers ng 28,000 sa 4 na buwan. No? So kung ganun, kasi ang average price ng palay, based on our computation with NEDA and DA, is 14.28 ang break-even price cost.
So walang
Cost to
kita ron.
produce, no?
Walang income dun.
Wala pang income dun. So dapat ang presyo, kung 28,000 ang additional income, you need around 20 pesos and 94 centavos farm gate price.
20.
20 pesos and 94
So
centavos.
21 pesos round off.
Yeah,
Oh.
based on 4,200 kilo per hectare. Average yield, no? So dapat yun ang presyo ng palay. But ang presyo ng palay is 10 piso.
5 piso pa nga sa ibang
Yeah.
lugar.
Di ba? So how could we encourage the farmers to plant?
Okay, tuloy natin. Yusek
Opo.
Perez.
Nabanggit ko na po kanina kung ano po yung mga major strategies, 5 po yon. Pero meron kaming tinatawag na cross-cutting strategies. Halimbawa po, napag-usapan po natin yung, kasi marami po dito, Mr. Chair, structural.